Welcome to Uping Stock Price Prediction. So we have a series of videos to show the tools we use to predict the stock price fluctuation. So we developed this kind of a tool based on the machine learning algorithm and the signal processing technique. So it's a very good tool, awesome tool to capture the stock price change fluctuation. We can predict the trend lines to predict the maximum value or minimum value of the stock price for a specific time frame you choose. For example, this is a Tesla monthly chart, and each monthly chart, this is the real-time data. That means each vertical line is the real-time change of the stock price in that month, and the left tick is the opening price, and the right tick is the closing price, and this is the maximum value, and this is the minimum value. So you can see this kind of trend lines, the yellow trend line or the blue trend lines, they track the stock price fluctuation very well. So right now I will try to find some kind of do some screening for different stocks and try to find some kind of a potential candidate, or just show you an overview of the stock price and the predicted trend lines. So for example, this is the SP 100 stocks. There's many types of stocks, and there's many a list of stocks for SP 100. So for example, AAPL Apple, this is the monthly chart of the Apple, and this the monthly chart, and the yellow trend line, blue trend line captures this fluctuation of the stock price very well. And right now, today is August 4th. The almost is just started for 4 days in this month. So right now, this is just the 4 days data, real-time data, and these trend lines are already printed out, are already generated. So basically it can predict the stock price maximum value and the minimum value in this month. So this is the Apple, and this is the monthly chart. So if we go to the weekly chart, and this is the weekly chart of the Apple real-time data. So you can also see this kind of trend lines, and the blue trend lines captures the fluctuation of the stock price very well. And if you change it to the daily chart, that's a daily chart, and also you can see these trend lines of the yellow trend line and the stock trend lines also captures the fluctuation of the stock price very well. So this is Apple, and for example, we can pick another one, AIG, for example. This is the AIG real-time data for stock price, and this is the daily chart, and this is the daily chart. So this is the yesterday's data. So you can see this kind of trend lines captures the daily chart, daily price fluctuation very well. And for some region, for example, and it has a much higher momentum to maybe like a drop down to another band between two other trend lines. So we have another tool can further track the minimum value and the maximum value in different regions. So this tool is a kind of trend lines prediction for better resolution. So we have another tool. So this for AIG, if I change it to AIG's real-time data, so this is the AIG daily chart. So we have another tool to track the stock price even in a different region. When, for example, at this day, and that's July 1920, almost like July 21 or something like that. So it's based on the resolution of the x-axis, so that's a time. So when the stock price dropped down with a higher momentum, dropped down to a different region, so we also have different trend lines to capture this minimum value. So you can see this is also captured very well. So if you have this kind of a tool, basically you can capture this kind of a minimum value of the stock price. So it's a good time to buy the stock around this kind of a low price region. So this is the daily chart for AIG. If we switch to weekly chart, so this is a weekly chart for AIG. So you can see this is also captured the stock price fluctuation very well. So we can use a better resolution, zoom it a little bit more. So you can see this is the weekly chart, real-time data for AIG, and this, you see this kind of a trend lines captures the maximum value and the minimum value very well. And even for this region, so there's a different level of the minimum value. For example, when it drops down to and past one level of minimum value, and there's also, it also predicts another level. So when it has a much higher momentum to drop it down, and then we can also have another prediction for the minimum value. So this kind of a minimum value predict actually captures the stock price very well. You can see when this real-time data fluctuated down to this region, you see this capture this very well. You know, this kind of trend lines and this kind of minimum or maximum value spots, this actually were already generated and predicted before, even before the stock price changed to that point. Okay, so it's basically generated these trend lines and also these spots dot minimum or maximum value dots that are already generated earlier. So that means it's a prediction. So let's check another like a BA Boeing, okay, like a BA stock. So this is updating to BA weekly chart. So this is a weekly chart. So you can see this kind of trend lines also predict the stock price very well, and you can see how it matches very well. So when the stock price reaches to this kind of region or the trend line, and it will basically tend to the different direction, and it will change the trend. So you can see this kind of a trend was predicted very well by this trend line, and it can capture the fluctuation, the minimum value or the maximum value of the stock price. So this is the weekly chart. So for example, if we change it to the monthly chart for Boeing BA, and you can see, oh, that's also a very good time, relatively good time. So it's close to this the minimum value, the bottom, the dot, and this is the trend line. So it's also a good time to buy the stock price. So we can check the daily chart. Oh, this is the daily chart. This is the yesterday's data, because right now is the early morning of August 4th. So this is the yesterday's data. So you can see this Boeing BA's stock price changed and dropped down, and almost also past this minimum value a little bit. So actually, even though you buy stock price in this region, it's also a good time to buy the stock, around this region at any time. I mean, it's also you can make a lot of profit when the stock price increases to another value. So this dot and this dot, so it's about the $223 is about $220. So even though you buy the stock around this region, around this timing, it's a good time. Okay, let's go to another like a CAT stock. This is changed to the CAT real-time data. Right now is the daily real-time data of a CAT. So this is the daily data. So that's yesterday's data. So you can see these trend lines are already printed out. So before the before a new day was already started. So you can see for some days it may not reach the the different trend lines. So that means you may still wait. You may still want to wait for a little bit of while and try to find a good timing like this when it reaches to a minimum value of the predicted by a trend line. So let's change it to Costco, COST, the real-time data. Real-time data, that's a daily, and you can see yesterday, and the Costco has a lot of increase, has a very high momentum, and even past the top trend line, the yellow trend line. So that means Costco it's already almost reached the high price region. So you need to be cautious, even though you may earn a lot of money in this region, but you still need to be cautious about buying Costco, because right now it's not a good time to buy Costco in this region because it's already past this. But this is the daily chart using the tool predicted by the trend line, Uping stock price trend line. So if we switch to the weekly chart of Costco, you see in weekly chart there's still a little bit more room for the stock price to increase. So just now it's a daily chart because that means it passed the yesterday's limit. Okay, but it's still in a weekly chart. It still has a little bit more room for the price to increase. Okay, so that means you may need to wait a little bit, wait for 1 day or 2 days. This is a monthly chart for Costco real-time data. For Costco monthly chart, so you can see this price, this is the opening and this is the closing of the so many 4 days in this month, because right now it's just the August 4th in August, so that's just the only 4 days in this month. So this monthly data is not finished yet, but this trend line is already printed out and generated. So you can see this kind of Costco real-time stock price already almost reaches actually almost reaches the trend line, the top resistance trend line. So that means it's not a good time to buy stock, Costco stock. Maybe it's a good time to sell the Costco stock at this time. It's not a good time to buy this stock at this timing. Okay, so okay, thanks for watching.